Hello, beautiful beings. I'm really excited because I have another being of light with me. We're going to talk all about love and light today. This is Deborah. Deborah, did I say it right?
Deborah, whichever you like. I
Deborah.
go by
Okay.
Deborah.
So I've got Deborah here, and I was feeling called to reach out to her to create a video together because she reminds me so much of myself, and all of her messages are so much the same as my messages. And I just know that right now on the earth, we all need messages, more messages of love than ever before. So I decided I would reach out, and here we are. We're going to talk about love and, the core of all of it and whatnot. So thank you, first of all, for being here.
I have goosebumps, what you just said, because here we are, and we talked about it earlier. It's no coincidence that we're talking on International Women's Day, and we're talking about self love, celebrating ourselves, because so many times, Melissa and I talked about this, that women tend to put themselves last. And we are going to talk about putting ourselves first. It's not selfish. It's then that we're stronger and we can help others. And that's why I too have been drawn to Melissa and been such a fan of hers. So I'm just delighted
Love your
to be here with
energy. You're
you.
amazing. And we were just talking about, with International Women's Day, there's such a big shift happening for women worldwide because for so long it's like we've been the caretakers. We've been the one that have been like, take care of the kids, take care of the cooking, take care of the husbands, and not really like putting ourselves on the list at all. And like we're kind of on the back burner. And it's like we are really powerful and our power has been taken away. And so here we are on International Women's Day creating this magical recording. And I really feel like on the earth right now, like women are really starting to tap more into their power and take it back and understand like how truly incredibly amazing they are. And that we are so much more than just being a mom and just taking care of all the cooking and just taking care of our partners. Like we're so powerful and we're so intuitive. And that's another thing we have to remember. Like we have wisdom that goes so deep and we've been so separated from it because we've been in such that space of just doing and doing and doing and putting ourselves on the back burner. And so, it's really important, and we can talk about this for sure, because really, what is self-love? Self-love is self-care. We're not taking care of ourselves and putting ourselves first, which for so long we've been led to believe that we need to put our kids and our partners and everything else first and then put ourselves last, but that's not an act of self-love. And so true self-love is really taking care of ourselves and putting ourselves first and making sure that we fill our glass full, because if we're trying to fill up the glasses of our children and our partners and everyone else around us from an empty glass, then we're never gonna, it's just like you're in the loop, right? You're in that rat
On
the
that
rat
hamster wheel.
Yeah, the hamster wheel. You're never going to fill anyone up. So when you fill your glass full first, then everybody around you can be filled up.
The positive energy flows. And Melissa said it, I was reading on her website, and this is what I fell in love with, that the only thing that stands, and I'm quoting or paraphrasing you, you can change it and add what you really said, but the only thing that stands between us, growth and expansion, is self-love. And that really resonated to my core, your sentence about that.
It's really, really true. It's everything. We've been searching out there our whole lives when really we have the key within ourselves. And once we realize that, and then we can unlock our heart and open ourselves in that way and understand that, oh, I've just been programmed to believe that I'm not good or I'm not worthy and all these other things. But actually, once you discover your power and your light and your amazingness, then you're tapping into this infinite flow of wisdom that's locked within the cells of the DNA. Then you discover the truth of who you are. Then you discover your soul's purpose and your mission and why we even incarnated. But we've been so, in this education system, which has kept us separate, making us believe that what we want is out there. We need to go to school. We need to go to college to do the thing that we think we want to do, which is the thing we probably end up not really fully, truly wanting to do because it's not authentic to the truth of who we are. So, it's like a whole big crazy thing. It's a rat race. We're lost in the rat race.
It is. And it's interesting because I've done different things at different stages in my life, and even things that I didn't study at college. And I had successes. I'm sure I know you have, because the success oozes from you. And it's not just success in what we do. It's that as a person, that we're resilient and we're kind and all those other things that somehow what we do, like our job, sort of defines us. And for me, it's the person that we become, that we are, that I rather be defined by a kind person who puts goodness into the world, helps others, is confident and strong. And I feel that from you, Melissa. And that's what I'm drawn to. And that's why I'm so excited to do this, to be able to, even if just one person hears this and gets empowered by it, that just puts that fear behind them, because fear gets in the way. And, we could fear and fear and fear, and we stop ourselves from really reaching our potential. And what we talk about between us and what we talk about on Instagram is actually taking back our light and going after our potential and what really we want to share with the world, our gifts and our love and light.
Yes, so beautifully said. That's exactly it. That's everything. You're such a beautiful soul. I'm so excited, like, to meet someone that's literally like a super spreader of love, like on the same mission. It's really fun because, we were just talking before this and we were saying, it's like, we're not in it to make the money. We're in it to to awaken people to the truth of who they are, because it's in the awakening of the truth of who we are that the bigger picture, the bigger reason for me doing this, and probably you too, is for the healing of our earth. So yes,
Yes.
to awaken as many people as we can to the truth of who we are, because once we discover that and we can move more into a space of love and just live from the present moment, cutting all the cords and all the stories and old belief systems that no longer serve us, and we really come back to presence, that's when we bring the biggest shift to the earth. Like, we don't even realize, because you can't physically see it, but we are so powerful like no other. And that's why lately I've been called to do a lot of like creating these light worker events and gatherings, because when you bring a lot of powerful light beings together, you're creating a huge ripple effect on the earth that you maybe don't physically see. But like, my intention is to skip timelines. So like, instead of this whole thing and it taking 10 plus years to get us into this new earth way of living in community and connection and collaboration and from heart centeredness, I have this intention that like we can skip timelines by just really spreading mass amounts of love and bringing together powerful people. And then it doesn't have to take all that much time. It can just happen in the now, like boom.
And right now, in the present, boom, the world needs it more than ever. I mean, what's going on in the Ukraine? I mean, it breaks our hearts. I mean, I know you feel the same way. And we want we talk about being the change we want to see, and that's what we're trying to do, and bringing in as many people to the fold so that it's that full range, like a symphony of light, right?
Exactly, a symphony of light. That's really what it's all about. And like, this new earth, this awakening that we're going through is really shifting from an old way of being into a new way of doing things. And it's no longer out there, it's inside of us. And once we understand that, then we no longer become a victim. We no longer blame our circumstances. We no longer blame our partners or our children or our family or friends or money situations, because it's all in our power. And the
Yes.
beauty of it is, the more we get quiet and the more we get present, then we start to understand that this physical reality is the only reality we've ever been taught about. But there's a whole nother world that exists beyond this physical reality, and that's the spirit world. And we are so supportive. I was just talking about this with a friend of mine this morning. It's like, we have got all of these spirit guides, our angels, all supporting us on our journey. But we've been so in this space of the rat race and running and trying to get to where we want to get to, and like resisting, that they can't support us from that space. So the getting present and getting quiet gives them the ability to support us on our path and bring us that which we are calling in. And so then the manifestations can start to happen versus
Yes.
us, like, you know, trying so hard. It's in the letting go and the being, which is so like hard for a lot of us because, you know, we've been in the rat race, we've been running, we got to go to school. The school has programmed us to believe you go home from school, you're still studying, you're still taking whatever, doing homework, whatever it is. Like, it just doesn't stop. So we're continuously, and the reason being is these darker forces, you know, they don't want us to know the truth of who we are. So they want to keep our mind busy, 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 busy. Then we don't tap into
Peter,
it. Yeah, like, don't get quiet in the mind. Whatever you do homework, do tests, go home, do more studying. Just keep the mind going. Don't get quiet, because if you get quiet, you might actually discover the truth and the power that you have within you. And they don't want that, because then we can't be controlled anymore. Well, guess what? We're all awakening, and they're losing their grip, and the dark, anything built on darkness will crumble and fall. It's a matter of time. It's happening.
yeah, I feel exactly the same. And that's why I left corporate America to focus on making this bigger impact, helping other people get unstuck, because I think it's just so important that we tap into, as we spoke about earlier, our intuition. We talked about things don't just happen by coincidence. When we put our attention, focus, effort on what we want, the manifestation of what we want, things do happen. I mean, I always tell people I work with, do your own experiment and think back on all the things that you thought was you wanted to happen, you thought it was a coincidence it happened. It's because you put that focus and attention and that light on it. And as I mentioned before, it might not happen exactly the way we see it in our minds, but what is meant for us will happen when we put that focus and attention to it, and we unleash our full potential. We all have gifts that we're put on this earth to share with others. And it's so important that we tap into that and we do that. And it makes us feel so much better. And that's when we put aside the fear and everything else, because we start to believe in ourselves, that confidence and
Yes.
self-belief and that gratitude that we feel. And that's the thing about self-love. The more you do that, it's not selfish. It actually has been proven, and I'm sure you could speak to this too, by science, that when we do this, when we add that self-love, we celebrate ourselves, we become more grateful, we become more confident, we're able to help others, we're kinder people. So we need to put aside the fact that self-love is selfish, and
Yes.
we need to embody it. I
Ooh.
mean, do you feel the same, Melissa?
Such important words. I love everything you said, everything you touched on, because it's very important. And to add on to that, and like, I
Please.
resonate with every word, is as you start to love yourself and as you start to believe in yourself, suddenly your external reality becomes a mirror reflection of love and light. Because when you truly authentically see your light and your power, and you know your worth, and you love yourself so fully, all of the people that show up in your life, like, you can see the light in them because you can see the light in yourself. And then it's by you seeing the light in them that they're able to see the light in themselves. That's what I'm noticing. And it's so amazing.
It really is. When you take the spotlight off yourselves and you shine it on others, because when you focus on yourself and you're worrying and you're fearful and everything, it just becomes that circular thinking, and it's very hard to let go of the negative. And because we're programmed from way back when to focus on the negative more, to accept that more, we need to work harder to
Yes.
embrace the positive light. But once we do that, our brains love patterns. So the more we do it, the more it becomes part of us.
Yes,
And
it's like the Joe Dispenza work. We're reprogramming and
that's
repatterning the neurons in the brain. And the more we keep catching ourselves, like, oh, I went back into an old story, an old belief system of unworthiness, but I know that's not true because that's not in the present, and all I am is love. So, like, the more we catch those, boom, we're rewiring and refiring neurons in our brain for love, for light, for truth, for whatever, you know? I love
Goosebumps.
that. I know, it's amazing. So tell me, like, for the people that are watching this, listening in, what are a few tips that you have or that you give to people for really kind of connecting to loving themselves, for staying in the present moment? Just, I think people need that.
It starts with releasing the negativity and and stop the self-bullying, that circular thinking, the negative thoughts, and speak kindly to yourself. Love yourself, lift yourself up, and stop feeling guilty for that, because the more we go down the rabbit hole, and I've heard you mention that too, Melissa, the harder it is to pull ourselves out. So I always talk about doing that, and then really just building confidence and listing. I have a sheet and questions that I ask, and listing all the good qualities about each of us, ourselves, and really tapping into it. And the minute that negative thought process even tries to slither in, to stop it immediately.
Right.
And, there's so much talk about gratitude. And if people are having a bad day, or just things are going wrong in their lives, sickness, whatever it might be, I think people might think, oh, gratitude, no, not for me, what do I have to be grateful for? But it's interesting, the more you tap into the gratitude, even just appreciating the sunshine, the more we let the joy in. And that's why I talk very much about making a gratitude collage, because I think that's such a powerful thing. All the things in our lives, the people, things that we wish to do, all of that on a piece of paper, and just putting it all down. And then when the negative thoughts slither in, even just to look at that and remember why we're grateful, to be able to distract ourselves from the negative thoughts, because I think that's what gets in the way and stops us and lets the fear trickle in. So that's my what I share with the people I work with, the book that I'm writing, all of those things, solutions and action items to be able to stop ourselves and move forward, to be able to unleash our full potential, to live our purpose, our passion, and to share that with others.
Oh, so beautifully said. Thank you so much. I think a lot of people will benefit from that because, so much wisdom in your words. And for sure, like gratitude is everything, because you could be in like a not a good space, but then you realize, oh my God, I have a roof over my head. I have food on my plate. Like, it kind of is able to, it gives you the ability to shift that negativity into like gratitude, which holds one of the highest vibrational frequencies. So then you raise your vibration with that. So yeah.
Absolutely. And actually, when you said notice, do you know that technique? I find it so helpful, and I talk about it. Notice, shift, rewire. It's actually when you're going negative, and I should have said that originally, when you're going negative, you notice that and you immediately shift
Mm,
into a moment of gratitude. And
right.
by doing that, you start to rewire the brain. So
Wow.
it's a real thing. Notice, shift, rewire.
Yeah, and it's our choice. Like the choice is ours. We don't have to any longer let external circumstances decide as to how we're going to feel. Like we get to choose within ourselves, to choose love, to choose happiness, to choose presence, to choose to see all the magic and all of the beauty around us. We could be in a situation in our external reality where everything's falling apart, but the more we go deeper within ourselves and find love and trust and surrender, the more we can shift our external reality. And also, like, our external reality is just a mirror reflection of something, so it's just there to teach us something. So now when tests come up and things come up, we get triggered. It's an opportunity to be like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling uncomfortable right now, but this is good because this means I can learn from this and I can understand better, like, how can I move more deeply into compassion, maybe compassion for the other person, maybe compassion for myself. But now we know that every test that shows up and is an opportunity to pass the test. It's kind of like school, you go through the grades, you pass the grades, you pass these tests. And then the greatest thing of all is, like, once you pass these tests, you're rewarded, and then you have another amazing opportunity or connection or something that presents itself, because now you're like, you've passed that level, now you're moving to the next level. And that's really, it's like a game, when you look at life that way, and you don't get so caught up in the test and get stuck in the external, like, oh, he did that or she did that, and how could they do that to me? But instead understand that they're suffering and they're hurting, and they have the ability to be like mean or not nice or say things that are hurtful. How can we have deeper compassion for them? Like, because then it's in the deeper compassion for them that we're having deeper compassion for ourselves. And so it all comes back to loving ourselves. And that's where we can finish this off, because it's all about self-love.
It really is. And I want to say something, because I think this is just so important, is I chose to relabel failure as education.
Mhm.
Because everything that you said, Melissa, is so true. Is how else are we going to learn, adapt, grow, and elevate and improve ourselves without making mistakes? I mean, trial and error is trial and error. You learn from that. So everything you said is so true. And we don't have a crystal ball. And people who say or tell us that we can't, and I'm sure you as well as I have been told a million times, I can't, I can't, I can't. But every time I step through the can't and embraced can, I succeeded. And that unleashes our full potential.
Yeah.
So everyone listening, just believe in yourselves. Yes, you can. Give yourself a hug, and we'll send virtual hugs out to all of you.
Sending love and light.
Love.
Let's finish it
Love.
with that. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Know your amazingness. Know your power. Know that you're an infinite spark of the divine. You are a piece of God, like amazing being of light. Love you guys so much.
Namaste.
Namaste.